In the ancient state of Lu, over years ago, a boy named Confucius was born into a humble family. His father had once been a brave warrior, honored for his strength. But when Confucius came into the world, his family had very little money. His mother worked long hours to keep their small home clean and to prepare simple meals. From the earliest days of his childhood, Confucius noticed life's unfairness. He saw farmers bending under heavy loads as they harvested rice in the fields. He watched merchants haggling in the marketplace, their faces weary from long days of hard work. Sometimes he even glimpsed nobles practicing archery in the ruler's courtyard, their clothes bright and their food plentiful. He wondered why some people seemed to have so much while others struggled to meet their basic needs. Each night, by the glow of a small oil lamp, Confucius listened to his mother share old stories about their ancestors. He heard of great deeds and difficult choices, of families that stuck together through famine and flood. These tales filled him with a sense of respect for his parents and grandparents. He learned that caring for one's family was the first step toward building a strong community. He promised himself that he would always honor his parents and look after his family's well-being. In Confucius's heart, the idea of devotion to family, filial piety, took root and grew strong. As Confucius grew older, his mind stirred with questions. One morning, he walked along a narrow path beside a rice paddy and saw a small bird struggling to lift a seed into its nest. Watching the bird strain and succeed, he asked himself why all creatures worked so hard to survive. Later, he noticed a river flowing steadily past worn stones and wondered how water could remain gentle and powerful at the same time. His curiosity guided him to ask, what is the right way to live? What does it mean to treat others with respect and fairness? At school, Confucius did not always speak up. He preferred to listen and observe. When other children laughed or shouted, he quietly studied the lines of their faces and tried to understand their feelings. Sometimes a traveler from a distant land would pass through Lu, and Confucius would approach him with a shy voice. "Sir, may I ask how you learn about the world?" These questions surprised many grown-ups, who were not used to a child asking such thoughtful questions. Some travelers laughed and moved on, but others paused to offer a kind answer. Even a simple reply, "We learn by watching and listening," became a precious lesson for Confucius, and he carried it with him like a treasured seed. One afternoon, Confucius helped his elderly neighbor carry a heavy water jar back to her courtyard. He bowed deeply and said, "It is my honor to help you today." The old woman's eyes glistened as she smiled. "Thank you, young one," she said softly. In that moment, Confucius felt his heart fill with warmth. He understood that respect was more than a word. It was an action that could brighten another person's day. Confucius began to practice small acts of kindness every chance he had. He offered his seat to an older student at school. He shared a piece of flatbread with a hungry dog near the marketplace. He greeted every elder he passed with a gentle bow. In learning these simple habits, he discovered that respect and compassion could be learned and grown, much like the rice in the fields that thrived through careful tending. By the time Confucius reached his early teens, other students noticed his calm voice and thoughtful manner. They invited him to join conversations under the shade of a large banyan tree near the riverbank. There, they would share ideas about honor, honesty, and fairness. Confucius listened closely and added his own questions. How can we make our rules fair for everyone? What can each of us do to help our family and neighbors? In these gatherings, he learned that true wisdom came from listening as much as from speaking. In this first chapter of his life, Confucius discovered three powerful truths. First, Curiosity is the seed of wisdom. It grows when we ask honest questions about the world. Second, caring for family, filial piety, builds the foundation for a kind and strong community. Third, simple acts of respect and kindness can change lives, one small action at a time. As Confucius looked toward the future, he carried these lessons in his heart, ready to learn more and to share his growing understanding with everyone he met. Confucius's search for wisdom led him beyond the boundaries of his village. Books were rare in Lu, so he listened closely to the few scrolls that travelers carried. He learned from the words of ancient sages, even when the parchment was worn and hard to read. He found meaning in short phrases that spoke of kindness, honesty, and true purpose. Yet he knew that written words alone could not teach everything. Each season became his teacher. In spring, he watched new green shoots emerge from bare soil. He saw how life returned after winter's cold. He asked himself why a tiny plant could push through hard ground. In summer, he listened to the song of crickets at dusk. He felt the warmth that encouraged all creatures to grow. In autumn, he saw leaves drop and wondered how letting go could prepare a tree for rest. In winter, he observed how rivers slowed and animals found shelter, reminding him that patience and care are part of nature's plan. From these lessons, Confucius drew two important ideas. The first was Ren, meaning humanness or true kindness. He thought of Ren as more than a feeling. It was a choice to help others without expecting anything in return. One afternoon, he saw a neighbor's ox stuck in the mud. Without hesitation, he and two friends led the ox to firmer ground. Confucius smiled as water dripped from its sides. In that moment, he felt the warmth of giving, and he understood that Ren was an action, not just a word. The second idea was the Tao, or the way. The Tao was not a path on the road, but a guide for how to live. Confucius discovered that the Tao meant balance, respect, and honor. He practiced simple rituals each day to honor this way. At dawn, he bowed toward the rising sun, whispering thanks for a new beginning. At midday, he closed his eyes for a brief moment, breathing slowly and quietly. At dusk, he bowed again to the setting sun, reflecting on what he had learned. These small acts helped him live in harmony with the world. As Confucius's reputation for wisdom grew, people from different backgrounds came to learn from him. Among his first students were the sons of noble families and peasants who had little schooling. He welcomed them all. He sat with them under shady trees and asked gentle questions. What does honor mean to you? How do you show respect in your home? His students answered in their own words, sharing stories of family meals, village festivals, and simple acts of kindness. Confucius did not stand on a raised platform or speak from behind a curtain. He sat at the same level as his students and invited them to speak freely. When he spoke, he told short stories instead of long lectures. He described a small flame that, when carefully fed with dry wood, could light up an entire hall. He explained that knowledge, like that flame, must be shared with care so it can grow and warm many hearts. To help his students remember his lessons, Confucius introduced a simple rhythm. He clapped his hands twice and then spoke a key phrase. His students repeated the clap, speak, clap sequence. Practice what you learn. This rhythm linked thought to action. Clapping reminded them to be alert. Speaking the phrase reminded them that learning is not complete until it changes how they live. Confucius often said, "A teacher who teaches the way must not only speak, but show by example." He led his students in simple role plays. One day he asked them to act out a meeting between a ruler and a farmer. The ruler bowed respectfully and asked the farmer, "How is your harvest?" The farmer in turn answered honestly and with courtesy. Through this exercise, students learned the importance of respectful speech and honest questions. Music also played a special part in his teaching. Confucius believed that music could shape the character and soften the heart. He played a small set of wooden clappers called yu, striking them in a steady beat. He asked his students to listen for the calm rhythm and then to speak softly in time with the claps. "Lead by example," he would say, and the clapping reminded them that leadership begins with a steady and kind heart. As his circle of learners widened, Confucius encouraged them to teach others. He said that true understanding grows when we share it. He asked each student to find someone younger or less experienced and to repeat the clap-speak-clap rhythm together. In this way, the teaching spread like ripples across a pond. Through reading ancient texts, observing nature's cycles, and practicing simple rituals, Confucius turned his own search for knowledge into a path for others. He showed that true learning comes from books, but also from the world around us and from the kindness we offer to each other. In becoming a teacher, he proved that wisdom grows not when it is held by one person, but when it is shared with many. Confucius taught 5 simple virtues that still guide us today. The first is ren, or kindness. Imagine a student sharing notes with a classmate who missed school. This small act shows true kindness. The second virtue is li, which means proper behavior or respect. In an office meeting, standing when an older colleague enters the room and greeting them politely is a way to practice li. The third virtue is xiao, or caring for family. Calling your parents to ask how they are, or helping your grandparents with household tasks, shows xiao in modern life. The fourth virtue is yi, meaning doing the right thing even when it is hard. If you see someone being treated unfairly, speaking up or offering support is an act of yi. Finally, zi is wisdom, the ability to think before you act. When deciding how to solve a problem at work or at school, taking time to listen to different opinions and then choosing the best solution demonstrates zi. After Confucius passed away, his students wrote down his conversations in a book called The Analects. These short stories and sayings let us hear Confucius's own voice. One disciple asked, "Is learning without thinking a waste?" Confucius answered, "Yes, but thinking without learning is dangerous." By reading the Analects, learners can practice simple listening and reading exercises. You might record a friend reading a few lines, then repeat them aloud. This activity helps connect ancient ideas to your daily English practice. Confucius's wisdom did not stay in China. Over centuries, his ideas spread to other countries and shaped education and leadership around the world. In modern classrooms, teachers use his method of asking questions instead of giving all the answers at once. This helps students learn to think for themselves. In businesses, managers who lead by example, showing honesty and care, follow the Confucian ideal of the noble person. Even community leaders find that focusing on kindness, respect, and fairness builds stronger teams and happier neighborhoods. To make these lessons part of your own life and English learning, try a few simple activities. First, create a small crossword puzzle using the 5 virtues: kindness, respect, family care, doing right, and wisdom. Then discuss with friends. Which virtue matters most to you and why? Finally, write a short letter to Confucius. Begin with "Dear Master," and describe one way you will practice a virtue this week. These activities help you use new vocabulary and express your own ideas in English. As you learn and grow, remember Confucius's words: Education breeds confidence. Confidence breeds hope. Hope breeds peace. Practicing these virtues in small daily actions, sharing, greeting politely, caring for family, standing up for what is right, and thinking before acting, brings harmony to your life and to the lives of others. By reading the Analects, reflecting on modern examples, and doing simple exercises, you can keep Confucius's legacy alive and improve your English at the same time. Confucius was a curious boy who grew up in the small state of Lu more than 2,000 years ago. In his simple home, he watched farmers work in the fields and merchants trade in the market. He saw nobles with plenty of food and fine clothes and wondered why life was so hard for others. At night, he listened to his mother's stories about their ancestors, and he learned that caring for family was the first step toward a strong community. From these early moments, he felt a spark of curiosity and a deep respect for those who came before him. As he grew older, Confucius listened to the words of traveling scholars and read the rare scrolls he could find. He studied the change of seasons, the growing of plants, and the flow of rivers. From these simple observations, he taught two great ideas: true kindness, or Ren, and living in harmony with the way, or Tao. He practiced small daily rituals, bowing to the sun, pausing to breathe, and he shared his food or helped a neighbor without expecting anything in return. He turned his own search for knowledge into a lesson for all. When people heard of his wisdom, they came from near and far to learn from him. He welcomed students from every background and taught by asking questions and sharing short stories. He used a gentle rhythm, clap, speak, clap, to link thought to action, and he showed that learning and kindness must go hand in hand. He did not stand above his students. He sat with them under trees, guiding them to discover the truth for themselves. After his death, Confucius's students wrote down his conversations in a book called The Analects. Over centuries, his 5 simple virtues, kindness, respect, care for family, doing what is right, and wisdom, spread across the world. Today, teachers ask questions instead of giving all the answers, and leaders know that honesty and empathy build trust. In our own lives, we can practice these virtues by small acts: sharing notes with a friend, greeting an elder with a bow, speaking up when we see unfairness, and taking time to think before we act. The deep lesson of Confucius's story is that real change begins with simple, daily actions and a willingness to learn. By honoring our families, helping others, and seeking to understand the world, we create a ripple of kindness that grows and spreads. Congratulations on listening through this entire story. You have improved your English listening and understanding by following the journey of Confucius. Now here is a small quiz to test your memory. Which virtue did Confucius call Ren? A. Wisdom and planning. B. True kindness and compassion. Please comment A or B in the comments below. We would love to hear your answer. If you enjoyed this lesson, please subscribe to our channel to support us and keep these lessons coming. We also welcome donations to help cover our operating costs and continue offering free, high-quality content. Your support means the world to us as we help you learn English through inspiring stories.